야, 되니 참말라 조바들 건 삼주적인
A very good morning to everyone.
되니 당가서 대란 것들이 추저 주자진 군주 그레스
And we are going to begin now with our teaching.
되니 가상 연출라 되니 가서 실당 거 되니 주냠슬린 것들이 종지다 되니 디나네 되니 토몽 거 되니 혼조 토몽 마인비 혼조 소 냠린 되니 셰서 혼조 거도 참아 되니 공도 되니 샤차송스.
So what we have covered so far has been the overall framework or overall structure for a path of practice. And yesterday we also looked at the preliminary practices, both the outer preliminaries and the inner preliminaries.
다니다 때랑 나도 되니 상학 거도 되니 시작을
And today we are going to be looking at the practice of the secret mantra.
되니 상학 되니 거때 있나 산집 좀 든데 되니 랑 되니 지구 피캅스 데 상학 거때 되니 야침보즈 되니 송요 마레즈 콤보나 마토파 야침보 송요 마레즈.
During the actual lifetime of the Shakyamuni Buddha, Vajrayana teachings were not given by him on any great scale.
되니 상학 되니 땀바드 마옹 발라 되니 야침보 타르크레 송네 되니 산집 좀 든데 롱탄 되니 나요레스.
Di sanji ku sumbare maumena.
마옹 발라 타르크레 송네 산집 롱탄 되니 나요레스.
Yeah, so but the Buddha made a prophecy that in the future the Vajrayana teachings would disseminate very widely.
되니 디인디 산지 지구 피캅스양 되니 데 상가양 용용 되니 송요레스.
However, when the Buddha did live, or when he was alive, he did give teachings on the Vajrayana, but only on a small scale.
되니 디 나라 되니 상가데 냠슬린 렌서티 양 되니 종즈증가 주셨던가 도 나라 손바티당 만자한다 보레스.
So in terms of the actual methods of practice of the Vajrayana, they have some differences to those that are contained in the sutras.
되니 저도 탑식 돌아다니 만자와 망보요레스.
So the main thing is that in the Vajrayana tradition, there are many different methods of practice.
되니 양 따와가 돌아있나는 실당가 되니 도 나라더니 송바티 소양티 상가 나라 양 참아 켈랭거요레스.
And in terms of view, generally all of the views that are contained in the sutric tradition are accepted by the tantric tradition too.
되니가 좀도 나라더니 송요 바티 되니 나가 나라야 티타와티 파 제접라다고 땅이 송거요레스.
Jiazangriba.
제접다 되니 제설 또 땅이 송거요레스.
So the views that are expounded in the sutric tradition are refined and clarified in the even more in the tantric tradition.
아니 상학들랑 아주더니 낭뭐디 복드니 상하다 있나 되니 상학들라더니 르그니 되니 송거 르그니 예와요레스.
So in terms of Vajrayana practice in Tibet, there are two different kinds.
아니 르그니티 강레즈나 되니 스티텔라 상 시바제 시단낭거 스티텔라 상 시바제 되니 스티텔라 나상 남바제니 상갈라 시낭 되니 예아니 되니 송요레스.
So these two divisions are the inner tantras and the outer tantras. We have this distinction between inner and outer.
되니 디나니 되니 상가 되니 시바 되니 데 다 야노 같으니 다 나추고 나라 되니 데 요레지 상 시바지기다.
And in terms of the outer tantras, these are texts and teachings that are also present in the Chinese Buddhist tradition.
이나 따따 되니 왕거리한다 실당 디나라 되니 왕거리다 되니 요레다 다 따따 되니 야노 같으니 추고 나라 되니 왕거리다 소 되니 야침보 문두스.
So even though there are empowerments, tantric empowerments in the outer tantra, In the Chinese Buddhist tradition these days, essentially this tradition hasn't been maintained on a large scale.
But
the texts pertaining to these empowerments still do exist in the Chinese tradition. And the tantric tradition then spread from China to Japan. And then in the Japanese tradition of Tantra, there's still, I've heard that there is still a tradition of giving empowerments, whether or not how that is in practice, I'm not sure.
So the
other kind of Tantra is the inner Tantra. So all of the contents of the inner Tantras derived from India and were brought to Tibet from India. So when the tantric teachings were first disseminated to Tibet from India in the monasteries of old in Tibet, there were many tantras written in Sanskrit and printed on the original paper made from tree leaves. But the tantric tradition in about the 12th, the 11th or 12th centuries declined in India. So in the world today, in terms of Buddhist followers of the Vajrayana tradition, aside from the Tibetan tradition, in other places it doesn't exist. So originally the Vajrayana traditions existed in India. However, after they declined there, the only place where they existed was Tibet. Insofar as Tibet is concerned, the tradition of giving empowerments and transmissions, instructions on practice, all of these tantras and traditions are preserved in their completeness in Tibet.
Ghana? Sangala, Sri Lanka.
Oh, let's say. And in the past, looking at the history of the Tantra, previously it spread to Sri Lanka. But that doesn't exist there anymore. And then later, the tantric tradition was translated from the Tibetan into Chinese, and then much later into Western languages, and in this way gained a relatively wide dissemination.
Teni aso pollayna teni tambo teni sangak teni peryong kan ko thokman rawda teni ngorong boche res.
So in Tibet, the first founder of the Vajrayana or disseminator of the Vajrayana was Guru Rinpoche.
Teni ina yang ngorong boche chibu I mare teni thongati tere mato ti jis teni mahalipa mambo teni sangak teni yige par gyariata teni wangda so jipat so jagarne mar lenne teni pola per teni shini mnya halipa mambo titola teni shikjabni teni tarchip shungwaris.
However, Guru Rinpoche was by no means the sole disseminator of the Vajrayana tradition in Tibet. In addition to him, subsequent to him, there were many people who did translation work, who gave empowerments, who brought lineages from India to Tibet. So there were many people who invested great effort in ensuring the dissemination of the Vajrayana in Tibet.
Teni tendawi teni sangha nangpa zia teni sangha tela ta ngaso pe na nyangma jawo teni sigina teni yang tela ramba simche yo res mahayoga zi teni anayoga zi teni adayoga zi teni sim ramba sim rapondo.
So in terms of the internal divisions of the Vajrayana tradition, in the Nyingma school, we have three sub-categories or classifications, the Mahayoga, the Anuyoga, and Ati Yoga.
Teni Mahayoga tin nangla zo teni kiram ko korde so teni kachembo shini teni songyores.
So the Mahayoga mainly correlates with generation stage practice. It contains a great deal of teachings on the generation stage.
Tani wang kerlugda, tani di mare la gomlugda, tani ngak tani janglugda, tani jengkhor tani shilola, jengkhor tani jachimbo tani zoserda. Teni chopa parnaya chopa jachimbu chupa damchi piguni chopa mbasrta teso de mambo teni mahayoga nani yongores.
So things like the instructions on giving empowerments, deity yoga, mantra recitation, the construction of large mandalas, and also the implementation of large rituals, these are all things that are contained in the Mahayoga.
Tinani teni shawa kashit pena teni jagar teni taga chulukta tesoda yang leka le kashit chonzo rapunda yores tani punda partana shiloni tana.
And there are some things within this contents that seem to be very similar or very close to Hinduism.
Pena jimtak zana konda jimtak lukje.
Air ceremonies. Fire ceremonies. Or burnt offerings, right.
Jimtak lukje na teni jagar ke teni tramze ke chul ke teni jimtak lukje tela pe karchimbo teni tsawreze nga tso sanga kanala kap teni jimtak lukje yores.
So fire ceremonies, burnt offerings were considered very important in the Hindu tradition, and they are also carried out in the Vajrayana.
Tindi yendi tini kashiga tini sangate tini ta jagar ke chulgrezi tindi tini jimjik shingen kashiga tindi zenkin yores.
So there are some people, some researchers who say that because of these similarities, therefore Vajrayana is a kind of Hinduism. However, this conclusion is only based on a superficial understanding, a lack of understanding of the inner meaning of the Vajrayana.
Shitanga tini nangchui nare, jagar ke chulu nare, chulu mambo tini jagar ke sacha titoni tini shomba indi, tini tez shok la lega leser tateso shopa tateso tolan jabu kap se yungures te. Aso sanga mai nam do shola tini jabu na yores kap se.
Because Buddhism and Hinduism, they both arose from the same place, namely from India, in terms of the way that certain components of the religion, especially rituals and the execution of rituals, there are from time to time similarities in the Buddhist Vajrayana between the Vajrayana and Hinduism, but this isn't the case just in Vajrayana. It's also the case in the Sutric tradition too, that there are similarities and ritual similarities between Buddhism and Hinduism.
Pejana ngatsu tini tarta ina tini tindiri pena tsarik yang tini nguboso tini jechong tangni tini koranga tini taga ngubo chawala tini jimju chege yore nangbe yang tini chege yore.
And we can say that similarities between Buddhism and other traditions exist nowadays too. For example, scientists, the current practice in science is to increasingly reduce the objects of investigation until they're very small particles. And this is something that Buddhism does too. It constantly reduces the object under investigation.
Teni partananika yang teni ngubo la jimjikje patang teni ngubo te yang jechong tani nrolik chibanda poresi ina te nangdong toni yang kaka susu res.
So just looking at things on the surface, it would seem, well, both the scientific tradition and Buddhism investigate matter. Both are interested in reducing matter to an increasingly small size. However, the content of these traditions in terms of what they're focusing on is completely different.
다 텐디 인디 테니 마하요가 같은 조샤데리 테니 아는 요가 같은 조샤드 야 텔레 마하요가 라투나 테자 럼바테 좀 토그레스.
So that's the Maha Yoga, and then moving on to the Ana Yoga. The Ana Yoga is a level higher than the Maha Yoga.
테니 아는 요가 같은 삼로당나 테니 가츠 페르나 다 미리 거랑 무랑 모수소랑가 리데 데디니 톨라티니 짜다 롱당 틀리어레지 데니 데소데니 야보즈 데니 냠슬레나 데니 가르치슈디 데니 데레스 데니 슐로라 페나가 조데니 초바자 침범바리안다다 데니 경코르데니 다다 탕가가 경코르 데니 르진다다 경코르데니 데니 아니요가 마요가 나라 데니 추바자 침범만보요레 디 추바데소 고문드 삼네 데니 삼고요레스 마 아니요가.
So in Ana Yoga, the primary practice hinges on the manipulation of the winds, channels, and drops. So this is the focus of the Ana Yoga, and it doesn't consider as important big rituals, the construction of mandala, and in general large ritual ceremonies.
마하요가 나라 틴디 데 주바티니 만디 경코르다 데소 주바틴디 자침보 틴디 지오지티 gemsen데 가르지나 담무카시스 틴디지나 가요르스 무카시트 틴디 실로람 쇼밤버리케 돈바 몽본돈게 하고미야 나그랑야 틴디라 가르 틴디라 강킹게 머티 틴디 고니 냠린치니 틴디 렘베 틴디 다 야르진로레 틴디즈 레마토바 우니타니체나 더 텔레잠바 소소랑가티니 리포 짤룽곰나 딘드근도 삼네 마요가 틴디 삼그레스.
Ana Yoga dende samgreis.
마요가 틴디 노그레스 다 코랑가 틴디 노파데테 노파.
So in the Maha Yoga, the reason why we have deity yoga and big rituals, the construction of mandalas, the accumulation of mantras, the making of offerings and the like. The reason that we have all of these things is for some practitioners, these activities really appeal to them. And so therefore, by practicing, doing these practices, step by step, level by level, they will be able to advance their practice. In the Ana Yoga, however, the focus on the winds, drops, and channels is considered sufficient.
Mahayoga la tuna, teni ane yoga teni korang ka tawa te tsiyar jim thu sungo res, tawa te ane yoga ka tawa te Mahayoga le te tsum thu res.
And in terms of the view of the Anayoga is somewhat higher than that of the Mahayoga.
Teni ane yoga ina teni mugo teni lipo tsa long thili tsu nesir te pe ha lepa tang zabu shigyo res.
And in the Anayoga has a very profound and very deep understanding of the subtle body, the channels, the winds, and the drops.
Teni yindi ta nga tsu nyamlin tsama teni mi lipo tola nyamlin jena te chokon de te ma to pa shulongla teni ken korda te so yona chokore mena choko karang te tindin do kare.
So for an Anayoga practitioner, it is considered sufficient to work with one's body, to practice through one's body, and it's not considered necessary to rely on external mandalas or anything like this.
Tendi yindi tendi ko so Mahayoga nyams len ken so teni so te teni ta tsar long thili te so teni nyamlin che gres. Anayoga.
So for Anayoga practitioners, the focus of their practice is primarily this, the practice of the winds, drops, and channels.
Tendi yindi te tsar long thili te so la teni thartik teni mukpat Anayoga da Adayoga nika ga teni chikpare se korang nika chikpare thartik muirde kang re na nika ga na teni so ga sim ga nilik yakpo toya ti teni muirde tere muirde nika chapriyo mare chikpare.
In terms of the goal, the ultimate goal of the practice of Anayoga, it's no different from that of Hatha Yoga. By means of practice through the winds, drops, and channels, the ultimate goal is to gain a realization of the innermost nature of mind. So there's no difference in the ultimate goal of practice.
Teni muirde teni chikpare ta ina teni tapshiti teni ta jayo mares.
So even though the purpose or the goal is the same, the methods of practice are different.
Teni Mahayoga nala nga so leka kang ina tsama teni shulokla jachimbo chege yoreze kenkori ina tsama shulok ngbo tsama jachimbo chini pena Mahayoga wangkar na yang teni shulokla kenkori teni chimbo go yore teni wangkar sar yang teni yang halepa teni gift teni gichen teni jes.
At the level of Mahayoga practice, external objects are rendered in a very elaborate way. So there is much elaboration of rituals, of empowerment procedures, of mandalas, and so forth.
Teni penanga so teni dorjire, teni jire, teni ta di Tesu songwayang te Mahayoga nala halepa jibo teni jachimbo mangbo yores.
So in the Mahayoga practice, ritual objects such as the Vajra and the bell, these are used with great elaboration.
Teni nga tso ngar dongya rormo teni paryandata yang nga tso teni tadang teni jamba chuba mangbo teni zoya chuba ramra mangbo teni chaya to sama halipa chanjigbo tape yakbo yores Mahayoga nala.
And in the Mahayoga, things like ritual music, mantra, offerings, these are all done on a really elaborate kind of grand, splendid scale.
Teni Anayoga nala lepsarti teni ta chubate so meni teni tabdepo teni shiores so rangalipo tola nyamlin mato jamba mambo mepa shini tab jibdi songores.
When one reaches Anayoga, the Anayoga level of practice, however, all of this splendor and elaborateness is cast aside for simplicity. So Anayoga is a more simple approach to practice where one relies primarily on one's own body as a vehicle of practice.
Teni Anayoga teni nantun so teni kerim da zorum niki nani so teni zorum re.
So in the Ana Yoga, the main component of Ana Yoga is of completion and generation and completion stage practice. The focus is completion stage practice.
Tenita the Jimangomate, teni Ati Yoga, Zegres.
And then following Ana Yoga is Ati Yoga.
Teni Ana the Ati Yoga tila, teni ngatu namjin ngatu teni Zoba Chimbo, zeni teni yang Zegres.
So Ati Yoga means Dzogchen. Ati Yoga is the level of Dzogchen practice.
Teni Ati Yoga teni samlutana, Gandhi Rizina, teni Shuluk, teni ngatu teni Kenkorda, Lagumyata, Tesu Kora, Nakmangpudronga, at the Soyang Go Mundu, Samne, teni Samgres, Ati Yoga.
So at the level of Ati Yoga, there isn't an emphasis on external mandalas, deity practice, mantra recitation. These things are not considered necessary.
Teni Titola, teni Salon Tuli Mambo Gomya, Tesoyang teni Go Mundu, Samgres.
And practice on winds, drops, and channels are also considered not necessary.
Teni Ati Yoga Sana. Tele chang pena Mahayoga ta at Ana Yoga Nika lechang tele chang tab dibos goni teni nyamlin cheser te hakoyore.
So at the level of Ati Yoga, the method of practice is one that is even more simple than that of both the Ana Yoga and the Mahayoga.
Teni koranga teni nyamlin cheser te ta pena Ana Yoga ta shine ngaso liga teni chalong thili te gongomare so te simla te thakar teni sim gothola drone te nyamlin chegres.
So whereas in the Ana Yoga one practices through the winds, drops and channels, at the level of Ati Yoga one practices directly on one's mind or through one's mind.
Teni tina sim gotini te nilik yabot te thakar teni shisona deli jamba go mares te samgar yores.
And the attitude of this level of practice is that one doesn't need anything more beyond recognizing the nature of one's mind.
Tani Mahayoga da Ana Yoga ena simji nilik yabot toksona tin jikre te deli jamba da go mare te zegore te yinna sim go nilik tok gona tani tapsi jamba mombola tin go ndu samne Mahayoga Ana Yoga tin jisongo yores.
So even though this, of course, is the attitude of the Mahayoga and the Ana Yoga as well, that we don't need, nothing more is required than realizing the basic nature of our mind. Nevertheless, in order to achieve this, many different methods are required. So that is the approach of the Mahayoga.
Tani Mahayoga da Ana Yoga ni kagina simji nilik tona ta jikre te jamba go marita yinna yang simji nilik tok gona teni salong thili gombata teni ti chenkhorda so gogre samne khosu teni samgare teni sungare se Mahayoga ta Ana Yoga ni ka.
So despite the fact that the ultimate goal of both Mahayoga and Ana Yoga practice is to realize the nature of one's mind, they require the use or the practice of the mandala and the subtle body practices.
Teni Ati Yoga zena te tapsi yores teni pena Mahayoga gandra po teni yang go mare Ana Yoga gandra po teni yang go mare tele jambi tapsi yore ti jambi tapsi te tab depo gone simdi nilik tokore zeni Ati Yoga teni sungare.
But what the attitude of the Ati Yoga is that there is a way to recognize the nature of one's mind without needing the methods of the Mahayoga or those of the Ana Yoga. That is, the attitude of the Ati Yoga is that we can rely on a really simple method, a method of great simplicity to directly recognize the nature of mind.
Teni yendi teni Mahayoga Ana Yoga Ati Yoga sambote khoso tapsi tone yena teni
So we can see, looking at the Mahayoga, the Ana Yoga, and the Ati Yoga, that in terms of their methods, they become increasingly more simple.
Teni Ana Yoga mare Ati Yoga kapsena teni tab hale pa tapsi tab depo teni zgone teni semgungo zegona re teni rikpa ngo shiba tindi ka tabshi tini ati yoga korangla tindi ka tabshi yores.
So by the level of the Hatha Yoga, the Hatha Yoga uses a method of utmost simplicity to enable practitioners to recognize the essence of their minds or recognize Rigpa.
Tini anu yoga da ati mahayoga ni kaga inna tini koni tini samlutana tindi tabdipo tini koni la tindi tabdipo di yo mares.
However, in the Mahayoga and Anayoga classes of teachings, there are no methods that are as simple as this.
Tini indi tini koso sumbo de la khabar tindi rimba te tsa mamu da rimba rambo da tini rimba thombo da khabar tindi res.
So we can say that the difference between the three classes of practice is one of a higher practice, more middling practice, and a more lower practice.
Tani ta ate yoga gina tini so te sim go thola tini so nyamlin sama sim go thola tini shegre zini nga so kondu shaswas.
So as we just said, Hatha Yoga primarily concerns practice directly on the mind or with the mind.
Tani yang sim te yang nga so tini shalone tini tana nga so te shalone tana tini mi sim zina tini sama chingrapo namtok kanda kangina sim te nga so chingrapo ma to ba nga so tana sim te la tini rimba tini mambo yo pa te nga so namkin te shitap ko mares.
Normally, when we are just having a superficial understanding of the mind, it seems that the mind is all the same thing. We don't understand that there are many different levels or layers of the mind.
Tini yinna tini yang adi yoga nangla nga so simla yang tini rimba tini tang zap mazap ko goni rimba mambo tini shiores.
However, in the Hatha Yoga teachings, the different layers of the mind are set out, are taught.
Tini indi ti sim ti so tini tang zapu nyamlin shenkenta yang halipa tang zap mayim ba tini nyamlin tini yang adi yoga rangla yang tini nyamlin ko rimba yang mambo yores. Rimba mambo ti kanip shongpa rizina kashi ti sim tini halipa tang zapu nyamlin shenken. Kashi ti 당보 딘디 땅자포 하장 마임바 딘디 냠슬링 강터 상마요 셈 냠슬링 발라 캬브리오 마르다 양 땅잡다 마즙 고니 니 양 캬브르 조바침볼라 난시라 양 캬브리오레스.
Within the Hatha Yoga teachings, within the Dzogchen practices, there are different levels of practice that pertain to different depths of the layers of the mind. So there are practices that really work with very deep, profound layers of the mind. There are practices that work with layers of the mind that are not as deep. And so we have these distinctions, these many different levels of practice in the Dzogchen teachings. All of them relate to the mind. However, there are distinctions in terms of the depth and profundity of the level that is being worked with. Some practitioners will start off with a less profound or less deep level, and then will progress from there. So Dzogchen speaks of four different levels: the outer, the inner, the secret, and the innermost secret levels. So teachings or cycles of teaching such as the Longchen Nyingtik, the Nyingtik Yabshi, the Jetsu Nyingtik, these are all the most advanced level of Dzogchen teachings. So that's just a brief introduction of the Mahayoga, Anayoga, and Hatha Yoga.
Teni tari nga so kong la teni Mahayoga so teni keram teni Ani yoga teni zogram teni res teni shasungwa teni Adi yoga kang resina Adi yoga keram dang zogram ni ka ayir me pa teni shak res teni songlo res.
So, as we just said, the Mahayoga level is mainly generation stage practice. Anuyoga is mainly completion stage practice, and Atha Yoga is an indivisibility of generation and completion stage.
Teni nga so bok teni nyamlin teni shi pikapsi na shirtang teni nga so pe na nyangma na tsama ga zogba chimbo te so shek res.
So, in terms of practice in Tibet, or at least for Nyingma practitioners, the core practice is Dzogchen.
Ina teni Mahayoga ta Ani yoga ni ka teni nyamlin shek res.
However, we do also practice Mahayoga and Anayoga practices.
Teni yendi teni nga chun samlan degni lhab gomba ta teni ngak jangwa ta te soyang teni go res nga so shirtang zogba chimbo na la na teni mambo yo marta ina nga so lamsang teni zogba chimbo chupo gomjana ya nga so teni yang mo teni ta teni sat phombo la laptop ko yo mari rimbin ro go re teni yendi tangbo nga so Mahayoga nga la yo pi lhab gomba ta ngak jangwa ta te soyang go res.
Because we do also practice Mahayoga and Anayoga, practitioners go on retreat, they do deity yoga practice, they accumulate mantra. There aren't many practices like this in the Dzogchen tradition. However, if one's practice is solely Dzogchen meditation, then it's rather difficult for one to reach a high level of practice, a high level of realization. It's important that practitioners proceed in their practice step by step. So going through the Mahayana, starting with Mahayoga practices.
Teni Anayoga kala shepi teni tsarlung teni gomba tsarlung tele gomba teyang teni yang gom thamna na yang teni ti pantok chimbo yore yakbo yore.
And as for Anayoga practice, so subtle body practices of the winds, channels, and drops, if a practitioner is able to do these practices, then this is also very good.
Teni nga so teni maha ta ana ta at so sumbo te teni shirtang te nala changma ga nala teni changma ga nangdun to changma ga nala yore pe na Anayoga Adi yoga ga nala teni keram dang teni zogram da teni korte teni te zawani mepa maresi teni yore ta ina ta zu te che yo maresi.
And so we can say that, for example, the Atha Yoga level of practice incorporates the practice or the content of the development and completion stages. Even though it incorporates this content, its core focus isn't these things.
Teni pe na nga so tarta ina nyamlin chipi kaps teni me mamboz ke nyamlin kanti chegre zena te ngondro to soyakpo teni saksarvi jini teni lhagom ya ta so yang kala kansam chegre halepa jachimbo ma chi lhagom ba ngabjwa te so je teni charlung gom ge te so tab depo chamz gom teni shi ni teni thama zoba chimbo teni so shi ni gom gore zi chertangla ta tan ra ina nga so na bol la ina nyangma kor teni mang chi shu teni shegre.
So these days in Tibet, particularly among practitioners of the Nyingma tradition, the path of practice usually goes like this. It usually begins with people properly completing the preliminary exercises, then doing some degree of deity practice, mantra recitation, gaining a basic familiarity with Anayoga, winds, drops, and channels, and then going on to Dzogchen practice, which is their core practice. So for most Nyingma students of the Nyingma in Tibet, this is the course of practice these days.
Teni indi teni teso changma ga teni muir tartik pati teni changma ga teni chikpare sosorang ga sem ga teni ngogo yakpo shiba te la teni muir te mato jamba yo maris.
But for all of these practices, their ultimate purpose is exactly the same, and that is to recognize the essence of mind. There's no difference between the ultimate goal.
아니 타르트 뭐마이나 되니 가서 견코르즈니 되니 만달라즈니 견코르즈니 되니 송고요나 견코르 뭐마데 가서 슐로라드니 레근골라 되니 트리오나 탕카골라 트리오나 야나 드르그디 레오나 견코르 뭐마데 텔라제요 마르지 테 견코르 그 즈민자 보레 견코르 뭐마데 수소랑 그 심궁오 텔라 견코르제요.
When we speak of a mandala, well, the ultimate mandala is not the mandala that we draw on paper or paint on a tanka or perhaps construct using powder. All of these are only symbols of the mandala. The ultimate mandala is one's mind.
Teni mahada ana at tinti sambo yogu gimsante kangresena teni mi rik la teni te nyamlin chinga mut sola rik jamra mambo yores teni changma teni jokba chimbo tangbo ne gomjana kashi ga yak boyong koreta te kashi ga yak boyong ko mares.
And the reason that we have these, or the reason for these different three classes of teachings, Mahayoga, Anayoga, and Hatha Yoga, is due to the different capacities of people, the different kinds of people that there are. There are some people who might start off with Dzogchen practice and come along well with their practice and realization, but for many people that isn't the case.
And then
there are some people to whom Anayoga practice, winds, drops and channels, this appeals to them. They like this kind of practice. But then there are people who don't like or don't prefer the complexity of deity practice and practice on the winds, drops, and channels. What they prefer is an approach of greater simplicity.
양 가시드 지르당 할레파 식침보자 양 가시드 티니 뜸ực 식침보자 드리어레 된 자금은 두지 뭐 있나 자 말해.
Even though the three poisons of desire, attachment, and anger are something that everyone has, people are differ in terms of which is stronger. So for some people, desire is particularly strong. For others, it's anger, whereas for others, it's ignorance.
근데 지르당 되니 식침보자 대소 되니 마하요가 되니 곰나 되니 지르당 되니 님보당 되니 지르당 되니 탁주 약보 치서도 상마 마하요가 나라 빼약보요레스.
If a person has very strong anger, then practices of the Mahayoga contain many antidotes to anger, many methods of resolving anger successfully.
아니 노착식 진보자한테 소고더니 아는 요가가 더니 냠린제나 더니 아는 요가가 나라 더니 가서 미더니 노착 더니 코랑 노착 코랑 바로 상지기 이실라 겨리야 그 딘디 그 탑시 망보요레스.
And for people for whom desire is particularly strong, then the practice of Anayoga is particularly effective because there are many methods of transforming desire into the wisdom of the Buddha.
드님 Anayoga였나 드니 뜸ực 드니 식침보 드니 뜸ực 식침보제야 드니 먹 드니 셈거나라다 주바든지 자침보 몸부 문둥큰 드니 도파멘큰 드니 실로코 주바 자침보 페나 켄코리날 하트야 소라 주바멘큰 셔당 답디보라 강큰 그뭐 드니지 드니 뜸ực시 체와 뭐도 드니 족바침보 드니 곰나 드니 답디보요레 때 딜람 초그레스 족바침보 아니요.
And then there are for those who have strong ignorance, people who don't like a lot of fancy elaborateness of ritual and deity practice. They prefer an approach of much greater simplicity than Dzogchen practice meets their tastes.
드니 가서 녀몽 바티 베나 실당 가서 낭추데 강당강 남도이나 그게나 참아 그더니 다 타르트 그더니 또 고소 따와데 강르지나 그소 어디니 조 먹을 때 가래 가서 미 셈가나라 요비 도착당 제당다 뜸 대초더니 탁줄이 하고 시기 띠돈 레지 상기기 정말 띠돈 레지.
So whether it is the teachings and the methods of the sutras or the tantras, the ultimate view of all of these practices is to address, to eliminate the afflictions of the mind, desire, attachment, anger, and so forth. This is the ultimate purpose and the ultimate view of all of these teachings.
더니 탁줄 실력대 탁줄이나 출리지나 저거다. 탁줄 실력들라 더니 다 잠만다 망보선도.
And there are many ways of dealing with these afflictions.
배랑아서 년투고 나라이나 당아서 노착다 제단다 뜸이나 더니 탁줄도 득부 득적을 가서 자다 버리티 인담마다 바람 매바지고 그래 바라 이고 그래 손이 든지그 탑시고니 더니 뇽모바 탁줄지요 그래서
So at the level of the vehicle of the listeners, then the afflictions of desire, anger, and attachment are considered enemies. They're considered bad, negative, things to be eliminated and cast away.
근데 년투고 나라다가 좀 도착다 제당다 뜨먹다 돼서 창마팔 매바지야 탑시라 대당가서 카탁 양랑보 시야가 든지 그 탑시 망보송을 그래서
And so, in this vehicle, there are many methods taught for eliminating these afflictions and separating ourselves from them at a very great distance.
근데 타바 침보가 나라 타바 침보가 좀 도가 나라이나 도 파르신 타바가 나라이나 근데 실당들이 도착 제당도 소더니 약보 말해진 그래서 상마 득보레 때 있나요? 근데 탑시질라 때는데 약보라 기르나 게르트부근도 손에 던지선 거요. 배나가서 만티니 가시해서 실당 코랑 뜨그리다 얘나 탑시라 때니 뜨디 바만도 기르잖아. 내가서 ዝ보라 때니 방근도와 타커 자나 때니 코랑 뜨그리 얘나 때니 락서라 때니 바로 기르나 때니 만린로 그래. 대당라보 시니 뇽몬바도 바로 기르나 때니 내가서 때니 쭉 때니 라보 냠는 거 쪽으로니 든지리야가 탑시선 더 삼네 타바침보 또 삼고요. 그래서
At the level of the Mahayana practice, and specifically the level of the vehicle of perfections, then afflictions, negative thoughts and emotions, they're still seen as negative, but they are considered to be able to be transformed into transformed positively. So we can liken it to some kind of medicine that to begin with is a poison, but through particular processes of refinement is able to be turned into a medicine that when someone takes is actually of benefit to them. So the Mahayana teaches many methods for transforming afflictions into positive forces that can assist our practice.
네 마하요가 연출이 당아서 네 상 시바지양이 다리 공락샤송와 대상 시바데다 좀 도거더니 따와니까라 차버데지요르다 차버 침부요 말해서
So when we get to the Vajrayana teachings, well, just as we spoke about before, there are the outer tantras. The view of the outer tantric teachings is somewhat slightly different from that of the sutric traditions, but in actual fact, it's not too different. It's quite closely related.
인디 나니 가서 마하요가 연출니더니 뇽몽바더니 탁주실글라더니 노다니 캬버 침본로요 그래서
However, from the level of Mahayoga upwards, then the means or the methods for dealing with afflictions are very different from those of the sutras.
더니 상학더니 마하요가에나 아드요가에나 아내요가 선보대 거초고 참아하고 삼노다나 나초더니 뇽몽바 나초더니 셈거나라요 빈도착제당 뜨먹고 뇽몽바 대초 더니 나초 띠어 닐릭데 약보스 마시나 더니 약 다린데 득보레지 디 나초라 노바 망보시 그래 옛날 더니 코랑거 고 약보 시송나 어더니 더니 그 뇽몽바지야 더니 그 득보 말에 tini tirisung res.
So what the Vajrayana teaches at the level of Mahayoga, Anayoga, and Atha Yoga is that the afflictions of our mind, desire, attachment, anger, and so forth, if we don't understand the essence of these afflictions, then yes, they're negative, they're harmful to us. However, if we understand, realize, recognize their essence, then they are not harmful to us.
Tani nyumung bandaso tsama nangla tani parshilong ni tana te tsama tani nyumung bares. Ina di nyumung bandaso nangla ishi yores, sanji ishi yores. Tenga so hako sona tani nyumung bandaso dupo mares one tani songores.
So what the Vajrayana teaches is that looking at them on the outside or from the outside, afflictions are negative. However, within them is wisdom. Within them is the wisdom of the Buddha.
Tani macho nyumung baga nangni ishi tesar leng yores.
And so what we need to do is extract the wisdom from within the afflictions.
Pernangaso tani ta deni shir yenare, deni zang yenare, daso samanga so tambo terka nangni yong bares.
So if we look at this lid, the top of it is crystal and the below bit is made of bronze, and all of these, to begin with, derive from minerals.
Tini terka nala yo na tambo kosola tana dindina bo mareze, te korang partana sheloni tana dolok dongomanda bores.
However, when they are first mined, they don't appear as they do. They just appear like a kind of rock.
Tini ngaso tin nangla tini do tin nangla terka yongke mashinken so do te kerioni tsukpa tsukni kangpa leandara tini chegrezi. Yang na sha kangpa paka kangpa tini legrezi do te kerioni.
For those, however, who don't recognize that these mineral rocks actually have very precious mineral substances inside them, they would just take these rocks away and use them to build some steps going up to their house, or to build a bird enclosure or a pig enclosure. Because they don't understand the value of the rock.
Tini mus jamba chile pazione chitana on di do tinala tini ngubo jamba zdugzine korang hakondo bores.
However, if a specialist were to look at this rock, they would understand that contained within it is another substance.
Tini kantin dugzine tinala tini ta tinala do tinala rumbo chinduzi te korang tini hakondo bores.
And they would understand that within this rock, inside it, is a very precious substance.
Tini mi jamba tini pakangda tini shakang tini suyo do de korang kersona tini korang tinane rumbochi lentap yores.
However, for those who take the rocks away to build their bird or pig enclosures, will not be able to extract the precious substance from the rocks.
Yenang koso rumbochi lembitini lakserte yang rumba tombo mambo rumba mambo yores lakserte.
However, the technology for extracting the precious substances, there are many different levels of technology.
Teni perdangaso ta do dinane ta rak inare ngupo chix ta makashis kzi laksar tombo mepate so teni do dinane rumbochi naka chik tini sarlene. For
those who don't have a particularly sophisticated kind of technology for extracting the precious substances, they will extract one kind of precious substance from the rock and thinking that the rest is just sediment or rubbish, just throw it away.
And
they would think that, I've extracted the precious substance from the rock, and everything that is left over, the dregs, are just like rubbish. And the reason for this is that people like this don't have a high level technology or apparatus at their disposal.
Tele kyang tini tsar ke laksar thumbu yongken ke mosik korang ke mar dorwi 가닉 되니 도 디나니 럼보치 린니 되니 사보데 말 토르도와 티 토리오 바티 야르케오네야 티나니 양 몽볼린 거요레스 잠바초
For those who have a more advanced level of technology to extract the precious minerals or precious substances, not only will they extract the first substance from the rock, but they'll also go and collect the dregs that have been thrown away and be able to extract precious substances from them too.
근데 인디 돌로롱데 총총 찍나니나 되니 락서 멘켄소 티나니 되니 테르카 찍마토바 렌탑고요 말레스
So for a rock deposit of this size, those who have really only basic methods at their disposal are only able to extract one kind of precious substance.
달 항마테소 티니 양 가징다 보시니 티니 탑데 보시니 말 티니 이익적 반다오 양나 메잘라 종야다오 티니 셰게요 그래서
And everything that's left, they treat as rubbish, they throw it away or they sell it to other people.
Teni laksan thombo chante sogo teni don den di lolo chignane teni terka mambo lentap ko yores pkp mambo lentap ko yores.
However, for those people who have sophisticated technology available to them from the same rock deposit, they are able to extract a great array of different precious substances.
Teni ngaso semganala yopin dochakta jerdangda temugda tesu teni terdu tawares nala tenka yongeng do tawares terdu tawares conscious.
And the various afflictions of our mind, the desire, anger, attachment, and so forth, actually these are just like precious mineral-containing rocks.
Teni nyantu so teni korang so samserte kangrezinata do te tanderang de do re de tondak chimendu marik jok samne teni samba o teres yana ti do ti teni ti chakang signa pakang signa shakang signa teni da boris nyantu leka leserde.
The approach of the vehicle of the listeners would be that these rocks are to be thrown away or otherwise they're to be taken to build one's house with or one's pig or bird enclosure.
Teni ngaso takpa chimbo teni mdogoyena tinani terka chiglen shigiyores teni terka chigmatolen shigiyomare jambata karnigresani partorkoyores.
And the approach of the Mahayana is those of people who only know to extract one kind of precious substance from the rock.
Teni sangakayena teni ta dendiga don dendistignane teni terka tsama tinala yopa terka tsama sar lentabandao dendires.
And the approach of the Vajrayana is one of people who are able to extract all the different precious substances that exist in the rock from it.
Tendi indi sangakanala teni nyomong bate so te ngo yakpo sisona teni tosona teni yeshire korang yeshi sanjig yeshinda bores oni teni songoyores.
So that's why it is taught that in the Vajrayana, if practitioners are able to realize, to recognize the essence of these afflictions, then this becomes the wisdom of the Buddha.
Gantar teni ngaso takba chimbo teni lulayena ngaso muyena teni mi semti nangla teni deshchak nyambo yo sarvi jimsenji teni terdo tawaz re rentangdang dambaz re zini tsama ga mdo yanchuk tsama zegres.
From in the Mahayana tradition, because everyone is recognized as having or being Buddha nature, then from the sutras upwards,
jigla teni ngaso derchak nyambo to yo sarvi jimsenji teni taba chimbo yen sarti mdo yen na nga tsama ga teni ngaso teni mo teni semti terdo zena kwangsh tabazre rentangda dambazre ze de do shirdang ga do dang ga marese.
Because the Mahayana tradition recognizes the Buddha nature in everyone, in everyone's mind, from the sutric tradition upwards, all minds are regarded as rocks containing precious mineral deposits and are regarded as extremely precious and valuable.
Teni Tinti indi tini nga tsu te ndo da nga te so tawa jimto ndogo yo. Tini koso ko tabshi te tini jebzang ndogo yo res.
So, in terms of the relationship between the sutras and the tantras, it is one of the view becoming increasingly refined and the methods becoming increasingly refined too.
Tinti indi tini koso ko nga tsu nyumung ba te la tasar te yang jimto tinti ndogo yo res.
And so the approach or the view of afflictions becomes increasingly advanced or increasingly higher.
Tinti indi tini ta nga tsu di jimsenji tini nga tsu perna nyangma ga nangla yana tini taba ramba ge zini tini ramba ge tinti chiyo res.
So it's for this reason that in the Nyingma tradition we speak of there being 9 vehicles or 9 levels.
Tini ramba ge ti tini nyumung bala tini tasar mandaba tini toni shongba res.
And these 9 different levels or vehicles derive from different approaches or attitudes to afflictions.
Tini nyumung bala tasar mandaba tini yoti tini nyumung ba takshushi lik tabshi layang tini mandaba yungu yo res.
And because they're due to different approaches or attitudes to afflictions, there are correspondingly different methods of dealing with them.
Tati shirtang nga tsu sangha ka tini taga ta tawa zina tabshi zina te shirtang ka kuwa tsamz res.
So that's just a general overview of the view or the approach of the Vajrayana.
Tini jibcha ka toni nga tsu taga jibcha go ni lojong she na sangha la tini lojong she na pe hali pa yakbo yo res.
And if you were to study this in detail, it would be really great.
Tini sangha ta sangha tartik ka sangha te tam ndu nika la ina tini tartik la koso tawa te chigrin ro ndo ze ndo da nga nika.
So ultimately, in terms of the view, the sutras and the tantras are the same.
Tini ndo parshin takba ina tini tangbu kapsa tini korang kapsha pa te tini sangha ta mandra ba tini zres.
At the level of the vehicle of the perfections, at the beginning of these teachings, the view is somewhat different.
Tini kale tini te somba te yarji sone pena tini ta parshin takba nangla tini sa tangbo sa nipa sa samba tini sungu yore. Tini indi ta pena mo tini nyamlin chenkenzi na korang sa tangbo rawo tini zila lep sarti tini do danga nika chikba imba hako nrogo yore.
So even though the vehicle of perfections starts off slowly, it gradually progresses. There are different levels or bhumis of realization in the vehicle of the perfections. And when a practitioner reaches the first bhumi, they realize that the view of the sutras and the tantras is in fact the same.
Tani nga tso karte nga tso le tangbo pazi ka tani sanghak la te tsi tojong che samna tani ke tso mapang rambo che ka tani sangyang kan rewa oksar nyangbo o te inchi ka thola ndik te tojong che na te yakbo yoris.
So for a beginner to the Vajrayana, those who are interested in gaining a deeper understanding can look at Mipam Rinpoche's commentary, The Heart Essence of Luminosity, of the Gyuyugaba Tantra.
Tini indi tinangla tini pe ka sarbore tini nga tsu sanghak shikhew la tini gowa linggo na te pe hale pa yakbo yores.
So this text, The Heart Essence of Luminosity, is a very clear text. It really clearly sets out and covers the Vajrayana tradition.
Tini tela lojong yakbo che jana nga tsu sanghak thola tini shirtang gowa yakbo lemro re.
And if you were to read this book, then you would be able to gain a good general understanding of the Vajrayana.
Tini ta nga tsu ti ola tini di zhung nangla somba tar tere tini nga tsu di tsubchit jibdun ba ti nangla tini tsu ti kiram tini song deguz.
So if we look now at the text that we are studying, verse 17 is concerned with generation stage practice.
네 나한테그 발하는 중요한 예네 연버시 비슷하다 마트르 곰빔데카 지르시니 차추지스 전라왕 지름젓 되니 다키 비름바 tanti 족 비름바 지라 되니 갈랑아 쳤대 되니 고아 소중대 피고 그래서
So we need to gain a little understanding of the development and completion stage practices.
되니 게름제야티 되니 소 되니 다 예듬 되니 달하망보 되니 곰고 그래서
Generation stage practice primarily hinges on the meditation on different deities, different idams.
되니 가서 사망보 곰비 되니 때다 제와 곰나 초 곰나 때 곰나 때 달하가는 그래서 다 가서 곰뭐 리본다 보데레스
So when we meditate or we visualize different deities, whether they be peaceful or wrathful, we're primarily visualizing the body, the form of the deity, similar to the human body.
되니 때당 냠도 되니 가서 님바도 되니 장고요. 님바 장와티 되니 다 가서 사가 되니 송으로서 가서 먹이나 되니 먹어 낙다 보데레스
And when we do deity practice, we also recite mantra, and so this mantra it corresponds with the speech of the deity.
되니 기름 곰바당 낙장와 지부 용거 말이 때당 냠도 되니 가서 되니 따와티 똑고 그래서 따와 똑고 그래서
So with generation stage practice, meditating on the deity and reciting mantra, in addition to this, it's also important that we realize the view.
되니 따와도 똑비 값스 되니 따와 똑바티 되니 예덤 거 되니 특그래서 그송 특선 보든지 그래서
And when we do realize or recognize the view, then this is considered the mind of the deity. So through these three practices, we cover the body, the speech, and the mind of the deity.
되니 게름 그 값스 되니 고메아티 강레지나 쪼오티 소소 랑거 리포티 되니 산다 페나 예덤 거 되니 곰고요레스
So when we do deity practice, the focus of it is visualizing oneself in the form of the deity.
되니 소소고 되니 리포티 되니 예덤지 거 되니 곰나 땅아서 리포티 예덤지 거 레다 마레스 동거 토라 레다 마레스
And when we do this, when we visualize our body as that of the idam, well, is our body really the body of the idam?
가르팅아스 제나티니 소소랑 거 리티 예덤 거 옛나 내가 좀 통거 만도 와서 가서 예덤 말에 가서 심진리 내가 소티니 예덤 거 통거 만도 와서 삼니티니 삼 그래서
Many people will think, asking themselves these questions, well, if I were the idam, then I can't see myself. When I look at myself, I am just an ordinary being.
되니 가르티 예덤 지거 마있나 되니 가서 오더니 예덤 지거 인 삼니티니 곰나 판톡 만도 와서
And so people might think, well, if my body isn't that of the deity, then imagining my body in the form of the deity doesn't have any benefit.
배낭아랑서 쳐당티님 찾니 쳐드니 가서라 드니 무비값스 드나 고와 디값스 나랑 상계인 삼니들이 곰나 대 판토요 말레스
Just like if a dog comes up to us and bites us, just thinking, oh, I'm the Buddha, is of no use. And actually, the Vajrayana teachings often talk about this. If I'm not the Buddha, but I just think I'm the Buddha, then this is of no use. The lion. Sorry. Okay, so I mistranslated that before. It shouldn't be thinking oneself is the Buddha. It should be thinking of oneself as a lion when one's not a lion. So just thinking of oneself as a lion when one is not won't make the dog scared.
아야. 근데 인디 되는 가서 가르팅 알아서 되는 예담 마이나 nga yetam yin samne tinri gomna tani nga cho tari nga sangge yin samne gombata sigrin do res.
And so it's said that just as viewing oneself as a lion when one is not is the same as thinking one is a deity when one is not.
Tani sosorang ga janglang go kor tanga da ore do res.
And so it's just like deceiving oneself.
Te panto chi ji ma res.
And therefore of no benefit.
Tani tinji yindi tangbo nga cho tani yetam gal hada ngarang ni ki parla chapra yoda me tatapcha go res.
So the first thing that we need to resolve is whether or not there is a difference between us and the idam.
Tani nga cho ndo parshin takban rawo yenna tani yetam hada tani nga cho parla ta chapra leo chapra hale pa chimbore sangji ha sangma pena yetam sangma tani sangji re nga cho simjin re tani chapra chimbondo samne tinji sam gres.
At the level of the vehicle of the perfections, then in terms of this question, the difference between ourselves and the deity, the answer would be that there is a very vast difference, that deities are all Buddhas, they're like gods, we are just ordinary mortal beings, and so of course there is a great difference between the two.
Tani nga la tani nga cho yang demba ni ze nga cho shirtang ko demba ni ra wote nga la tani demba tondom demba ta kanjob demba je demba ni tin ya chi chi ores.
So at the in the Tantra, we have the level, the two different truths, the relative truth and the ultimate truth. These two truths, of course, they're also in the sutras too.
Tani yente dari sang dorje thaba zena te je nga cho partana nga cho ta tini sangje da nga so parla chapar chimpo ndu se ores.
So what the Vajrayana teachings say is that, yes, looking at things on the surface, there is a big difference between ourselves and the deity.
Tini nga so yang yedam dan ra mundu yedam yang nga so dan ra mare tini ti parla chapar chimpo ndu se ores.
We are not like the deity and the deity is not like us, and so there is a really big difference.
Tini ta nga so tu samlo tang ko ate kang rezina ton ngupu thola chapar ndu ta mundu tini te ta go ndu.
But what we actually really have to look at is whether in essence, in actuality, there is a difference between the two.
Tindi shayong di tini ta nga so tini sim la thang ro re te sim ti nga so tini sim ti ha ma ko na pe na zokba chimbo rikpa ta tini mashina te nga so nam to re nyomong ba re do cha yerdang re tini sangma tini ge dugbo re.
And in assessing this, we really need to look at the mind. If we don't understand the essence of the mind, if we haven't recognized Rigpa, then yes, we have afflictions, negative thoughts, and all of these are very negative.
Tani yinna tini nga so karti sim ti korang ngo yak po tini ha ko sona te ha ko wi kapsa tini ta nyomong ba mare ziti kapsa tini sanji gi shi re nga so sem ko ngo te tini sanji gi shi re sone tini song ko re te aso ndo parchin ta ba na la song ko re.
However, if we are able to recognize the essence of our minds, then the moment that we do so, our afflictions cease to be afflictions and become instead the wisdom of the Buddha. And this indeed is then the essence of our mind. So this is what the sutric teachings say.
Tani pena sanji dang chu dang gendeng ze tini komchok sam ze na nga so tini nang chu na ne pe hale pa kar chimbo re tela tini shulok la tini sanji chu dang gendeng ze ya te gandhi ze la nguzeng go nga so khasang kong de chamro ka shapa teres.
In Buddhism, we regard the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, the three jewels, as extremely important. How we regard them in an external sense, yesterday we talked about in our teaching.
Tini nang ke tini komchok sam ze komchok sam ngomati kang re zena ngaso teni semgi teni ngode komchok somre sone te songore te ngaso sang machat pena jilla mata wa teni gam do na la teni songonde was
Ishila Uttara Tantra, yeah. However, as for the internal three jewels, the real three jewels, these are said to be the essence, the basic essence of our mind. And this is not just the approach of the Vajrayana, but this is also the approach of sutric texts like the Uttara Tantra.
teni yendi teni ngaso sem go teni tang te teni sem go ngoma te teni ta sanji gi shi tang teni chikpare songwa te ndo parchen ta ba songgo yores.
So that at its innermost level, our mind is the essence of our mind is the wisdom of the Buddha. This is also taught by the sutras.
Teni yendi ngaso sem go teni tang te teni sanji yinda mayin la teni ndo ta nga ni kala teni chopa chikyan yo mares.
And so there is no debate between the sutric and tantric teachings that the innermost essence of the mind is the wisdom of the Buddha.
Teni ndo parchen ta ba na la teni ya tawa teni zammu teni sangan rapo teni songsa ga teni ndo mambu yores.
And in fact, in the sutric teachings, the vehicle of the perfections, there are many sutras that expound a view of depth and profundity like that of the Tantras.
Ina teni ndo khorang ga teni ta josha ga zodi te mari te jarla teni songondos.
However, this isn't the main focus or main emphasis of the sutras. It's sort of a peripheral discussion.
Teni ndo nala perna ngaso semti tartani teni sanje yishi tanda poreze de teni tawa ga toni teni ngutun rapo mato nyamling ga toni ota ngaso semti tartani sanje ga teni yishi yena tartan dendin de ga nyamling go goreze ne teni ga nyamling to yo mares ndo nala teni ga nyamling song yo mares.
So even though the sutras do expound the view that the innermost essence of the mind is the wisdom of the Buddha, they don't contain methods of practice. So they don't take the premise that if our the nature of our mind now is the wisdom of the Buddha, then how should we practice? They don't contain practice methods geared towards this.
Tindi indi ngaso tini tarta partana tini matak pa tini simchinda tindi nyomung bata tindi nanga yore tila sanga kanala tila kanzub demba zeg yore tinga chon churwa re zeg yores.
So now what we perceive, the impure appearances that we appear, afflicted beings and so forth, are in the Vajrayana teachings considered to be a relative truth or an illusory appearance.
Tini dong tolat kanrizina te ngaso te sem ga tini ngote tini sanji gi ishita chikpa yin tini chikpa thuma ngamani tarta ga parta dong tolat tini res ngore.
But in actuality, our minds have always been, since primordial times up until now, the wisdom of the Buddha. So this in the Vajrayana teachings is considered the ultimate truth.
Teni indi 당아서 셈 그들이 고 되더니 대상량보 되더니 인디 되니 당아서 베나 하디니 실로라다 한자마다 mambo 되니 되니 jar mambo 용켄제 되니 샥 mambo 용켄제 따티당자와 되니 하 지와 하초 mambo 되니 능거요 이나 대소 참마 되니 코나 대상량보 되니 다 능완다고 그래 송거요.
So because the essence of our mind is Buddha nature, these the many deities that appear, that manifest with many hands and many arms, some peaceful, some wrathful, despite their diversity of appearance, they are all considered to be manifestations of Buddha nature.
Teni dong thola ngacho teni sang tawa tindi te ndi dorji ndim songo yore ndi tem sonya gachi deres.
And this view is symbolized in the Vajrayana with this dorji.
Teni ndi dorji ndela teni tan de dorji se ganda pore teni se sim yankan tindi yores ndi shokta ola nika se sim ma to menkan tindi yores.
This is a Vajra with what, 9 prongs? Yes.
Teni
Verses 3.
teni dorji se rnga yankan tindi yores.
And there are some Vajras with 5 prongs.
Teni ndi ngonde kangreta ndini teni chaparte kangrezena ndi ogde teni ngacho tarta semchini impi nerkabres.
So the symbolism of this Vajra is that the lower part of the Vajra symbolizes us as ordinary beings.
Teni ndi thokte teni sanji impi kabres.
And the upper part of the Vajra symbolizes us in the state of Buddhahood.
Teni perna tab deposhi ni dorji se sim raboyena teni sanji ga teni ko song thuk yana sanji ga zogba chimbo na sanji ga yishi sim teni songare ti yishi sim de teni sombares.
And just putting it simply, when we have a 3-pronged Vajra, the 3 prongs symbolize the body, speech, and mind of the Buddha, or according to the Dzogchen perspective, the 3 wisdoms of the Buddha.
Teni ta sanji charwi nerkabs teni sanji ko song thuk o te simda teni ngacho tarta ngacho simjin imbi kaps teni ngacho simjin ka teni li ta ngak ta yet teni nipo teni ta dong thola chikpare sone dong thola chikpare song yores.
So these 3 qualities, or these 3 aspects, body, speech, and mind of Buddhahood, and our body, speech, and mind as ordinary beings, in actuality they are the same.
Teni di ngola teni ta perna teni dorji teni ta yanlak teni ra teni nga yona te ngola yang teni nga yore kongnak sim yona ngola yang sim yokores.
So if there are 5 prongs on top of the Vajra, then there are 5 prongs on the bottom. If there are 3 on top, there will also be 3 on the bottom.
Teni ndi kepatis chik ma to yomare kepatis chik teni mrirni yores keti.
However, in the middle of the Vajra, there is only always 1.
Teni ti chuntun te kangrezina sanji ga sala yopi teni sanji ga sa teni yeshi teso changma tarta ngacho go teni sem ga nala tes chik pa chikyang yore song tes song ga yore sindi.
And the fact that there is only one part of the Vajra in the middle, this symbolizes that all of the wisdom that we possess in the state of Buddhahood, in fact, we already possess now in our current state.
Teni te ngacho ndo parshin thakpa ga nala teni ndorde pe zammu ga nala teni song yores. Teni te dang rabu song yores.
And in fact, this view is also propounded, or a view very similar to this is also propounded in the deepest and most profound sutras.
Teni ndo ga nala teni ga teni pez bjaga yores. Pe te kangrezina pe na da ngacho gon zambalang teni sakolan di thola yopi ngupo chama te pe na ngacho rejji teni chempo sakola tang rabu ga teni rejji chempo zga thola teni ta gyamcho yosala teni gyamcho zhi teni rungo yosala rungo zhi teni zhongkir yosala zhongkir zhi ni teni zambalang ga teni cheshong tang chikpan rabu zhi teni rejji zga thola teni chama te teni rimo teni zhiz teni song rimo te tangbo rimo te zhiz teni song yores rimo te zhinazi ta pe zhang re teni song yores karti teni rimo te teni zhinaz zhineze go ta tarong ola yore ya.
That's it. So in the sutras, an example is given. It is said, if we took a great piece of cloth and were to draw upon it every part of the world to scale, so all of the oceans where they are and all of the mountains and cities where they are.
Teni reji teni chembote teni ta teni gyachembote te cheshong ko tone ta anzambalang ko cheshong ta andap chikpa chikyang res.
And if the size of this piece of cloth was exactly the same as the size of the world,
되니 가르티 무스 그때니 되니 레르지 첨보 데 코랑가 짐트 그톱 그때니 총총 되니 제니 되니 에 떨즈 그 공나 떨 총총 드름즈 되나 거가 즈마 공도와 되니 드름즈 그 나라 되니 지그작나 되니 소노레스.
and if a person was to take this entire picture and then the jima kanana juk
디 레르지 첨보 되니 코랑 지그 짐트 그 총총 시니 되니 디 드름즈 그 나라 지그작나스.
let's say.
지그바레스 고르다.
And if a person were to take this great piece of cloth and to roll it up so small and then stuff it inside a sesame seed,
yeah. Then it comes in it actually partana, they correct terms security, Matochian Tondio Mares.
Somebody just looking at this sesame seed would just think it's a sesame seed. They wouldn't think it's anything else. However, within that sesame seed would be the world in its completeness. And so this is an example, a metaphor. And this is a metaphor to illustrate that all people were on the surface appear to be humans. However, within every person are the complete qualities of the Buddha. So we as humans are like sesame seeds.
Oh yeah, then also same kanala yopi tini termjog kanala yopi tini rejiti also same kanala yopi desaknyang boda sanji ge yundan tavares.
So the great piece of cloth that is contained within the sesame seed is just like the Buddha nature and the qualities of the Buddha that are contained within us.
Tini tindite shetang do kanala tini sungu yores.
And this is usually said, propounded, taught in the sutras.
Inam do kanala tini sona ta nyamnin chini ngachu sem kanala pi desaknyang boda gandhi nyamnin che go resina tini nyamnin che serte shetang zamma tok ba tini saru ngak dawo tini yomares.
Even though the sutras do expound this view in terms of how to go about practicing if our original nature is that of Buddha nature, aside from very general instructions, methods that are set out as clearly as those of the Tantras don't exist. So that is what the Vajra in the Vajrayana illustrates.
Sanji gteni yeshi semo te sanji yeshi rezi te sanji yeshi sanji la yondan kare yopate ola yang teni yore chama chikpare songo yore ngacho sem gna sanji yeshi chachang teni yore songwi tim songo yore jindi.
So what the Vajra symbolizes is at the top we have the Buddha's wisdom, the qualities of the Buddhism, and what the Vajra is showing is that all of these qualities and this Buddha, the wisdom of the Buddha, we already possess in completeness in our minds. And it's important that we continue to to study this view a great deal. It's not just as easy as that. However, if we say that the essence of our minds is stainless, is the wisdom of the Buddha, if we put it this way, then it's relatively easy to understand. And then there are Vajras that have just one prong at the bottom, one prong at the top, and they don't have the other parts.
다 동거 돌아다니 익반라고 되는데 익바 통통라고 되는데 마토지요 말해서 데소 상마지요 말인데요 말해서.
So in actual fact, this Vajra appears much like a stick. It doesn't have the bulb at the top or the bottom.
되니 띠 송거요지 야르 산기이나 산기 거랑 그 이시데 데레 마랑아서 심진이나 심진 그 셈거나라 산기 그 이시데요 이시라 캬버지지요 말에 손에 댄 송거요
And so what this kind of Vajrayana symbolizes is the same thing. At the top we have the wisdom of the Buddha, below we have the wisdom of ordinary sentient beings, and what this Vajra conveys is that there is no difference between the two.
되니 딘지인디 상기 그때니 람진 모다 가서 그때니 심진 그때니 모라 가서 돈이 캬버사바니 메송거요 그래서.
And so what it shows or tells or communicates is that the basic essence or basic nature of the Buddha is of no difference to our own basic nature or essence.
배우자나 가서 미참마 되니 가서 그 먹을 리드 참마데 되니 더천 그 되니 저바레스 더천 그 저바原子 차더 펜즈 그래서 저바레스.
So it's just the same as all of us, all of our physical bodies are made up of particles, atoms and molecules.
In
this respect, all of us are exactly the same. There is absolutely no difference whatsoever. The only difference that does exist is that in terms of our external appearances, there's a bit of difference between people. However, it's true that in terms of the essence of our physical bodies, that there is no difference. And it's the same in terms of our minds. In terms of the essence of our minds, there's no difference between it and that of the wisdom of the Buddha. The only difference is that the external appearances of our minds are somewhat diverse or different.
나좀 든지 돌진라다 저라다 든지 그 돈이 소종 제나 빼야고 드니 용거래지 나선디 데라 상지 그드니데 돌지 저라서 받드니 도서 상마드니 거랑 손시 든지레지 거랑 손시 든지레지 거랑 지스르 그 남반라고 지스르 그 나라 드니 손시 그 지스르 든지요레 티단라 보즈레스.
So in studying the Vajrayana, it's really useful if we learn with implements like the bell and the Vajra, because these implements that are these artistic ritual implements are symbols. They symbolize things.
근데 파르타나 도르진가 저 캠슨라 본통거레진데 짐슨 가리나 디난딘디 홀란딘디 비 짐슨 셔리지 딘디 삼거레스.
Just looking at the Vajra, we would think, oh, this really is a strange thing. It's got this thing at the top and it's got this thing at the bottom. However, when we understand what it symbolizes, then we know that it reflects the view of the Vajrayana. And on the bell, there are all kinds of drawings, all kinds of pictures. And there are pictures or drawings inside as well. And all of these two symbolize things that relate to the view of Vajrayana. So, putting it in the most simple terms, we can say that the essence of the Vajrayana is that all beings, in terms of their basic essence, is exactly the same as that of the Buddha.
이나 되니 모다 실로고 남바지기 때가서 다른 갈리 로중체 gond도 마토 양 레라 우즈고 코알렘잖아 되니가 노르로 그래서
The difference is only in terms of external appearances. However, in terms of what we mean by these things, internal essence and external appearances, we need to continue our studies because the meaning is perhaps not quite as simple as this.
되니 죽신 그 르바티 가서 남 되니 따와데 똑송나 디값스 어당가서 상지당가서 찍바리 삼바데 디딩가서 하고로 그래서
When we do recognize Rigpa, then we will, at this point, understand that, in fact, the Buddha is completely is no different to ourselves.
된디 인디 되니 당가서 된디 따와데 약보즈 하고 자리 지니 되니 당가서 소소랑 예담 것들이 하랑 그 리포트 예담 걸하 곰나 단 적은도 삼반다고데 하고 그래서
And when we have a good understanding of this view, then we will find it acceptable to meditate on the idam, to visualize ourselves in the form of the idam.
땅아서 디값스디니 곰나 땅 나랑 양테니 따땅아솔라 나랑 파르타나 디니 나랑 예담 마리타 이나 땅 나랑 그 셈고 디 데샹냠보 요 차르티 예담제나 데 데샹냠보 코랑 같으니 나와 딘자보 렌도와 데샹냠보 나랑라 요레 딘디오 딱 곰나 më르기면도 삼바 딘디 하고 그래.
So even though just looking at things on the surface, it doesn't appear that I am like the idam because we understand that the essence of our mind is Buddha nature, then we have no problem with meditating, visualizing ourselves in the form of the deity.
Then 딘디가 당아서 데 곰비 깨름 데니 곰나 데니 깨름 그 값스 데니 다 곰스 그 돌아 가시에즈 데니 도나 제고야 가시 요레스.
And when we practice deity yoga, there is a few points that we need to pay attention to.
데니 당봉 아주 깨름 곰비 값스는 데니 당보 탕칼라 데니 무그 데니 따니 곰고레스.
When we begin with the practice, we need to use a tanka image of the deity that we can look at.
데니 아주 베나 톰바 상지 샤자타바 라보즈 데니 곰나 데니 당봉 아주 톰바 상지 샤자타바 탕카 데니즈 데니 데 요고레스 데니 다 탕카데 할리바 쳔보 있나 데니 그 말레스 할리바 총총은 안 그 말에 아주 베나 토강 영나 소소 지강 데니즈 있는 그 그레스.
So if we say meditating on the Shakyamuni Buddha, then we need to acquire for ourselves a tanka image of the Shakyamuni Buddha. If it is too big or too small, it's not suitable. We need to find a tanka that is ranges from the size of the length of one hand to the length of from the tip of our hand to our elbow. This is an appropriate size range for a tanka.
데니 탕카데 가르데 할리바데니 침부데니 데니 연소나 내가서 셈파르따 데니 토그 말에 데니 셈파라양도 그래 데인디 탕카데 종종다 보고 그래.
If the tanka that we use is really big, then our mind won't be able to focus on it. It'll wander away.
데니 탕카 데니 잡득지 데니 탕카데라 랍니치고 그래.
So after we have acquired for ourselves a tanka, the next thing we need to do is have it consecrated.
데니 탕칼라 랍니치 자리 값스 데니 소소랑 것데니 타카데라 작고 그래. 데니 파르타나 따촉사 타카데라 작고 그래.
And after we have had it consecrated, we need to hang it or place it in a place that we can look at directly, so right in front of our eyes.
데니 타카라 작네 데니 아주 무니포데가 데니 탕카데라 따고 그래.
And after having placed it so, we need to look at the tanka with our two eyes.
데니 무니가 탕칼라 따니 데니 셈그나라 tini namtok chikyang mebashi gores semnang ka namtok sama par mebashi ni tini semgunang la chiyang musamni tini ndik gores.
And in gazing at the tanka in front of us, we need to bring our minds into a state without thought. So we need to let go of all thought activity.
Tini ndikna tila tini shokchingni di tini kirim yakbo tanka yakbo sarwo tini gumtabya tini pantoyo rekchik tiris.
By being able to focus on the image in this way, we are able to really clearly focus on the image of the tanka. And the other advantage is being able to abide in a state of good state of meditative concentration.
Tetsing rambo rawala tini muk tini thankatila tini tani ndugna tini tetsu tetsu rambo re chawi jini tini muk zumna yang tini thankati semnang la saro shar kares.
And by focusing on the image of the tanka for a long time, we will reach a point where the image of the deity automatically or naturally appears in our mind.
Tini di kapsa tini thankate go mare di kapsa tini thankata go mares.
And when we reach this point, then we no longer need to rely on a tanka.
Tini tindi indi ngasu thankate tini tani tini ta ngasu tini gumni ta ngarang ga lipo te tini ngasu pena sanji shakja ta paena tini yin samne tini gum go re tari ngasu sem gna la saru yong charwi jis tini ta su so rang ga lipo te tini yin samne tini gum go ndus.
And after we are able to visualize very clearly the deity in our own mind, then we need to meditate thinking that we are the deity ourselves.
Tini shirtang ka tini ngaso lha ka tini namba tsu tamchi po tini rimu chungkeng ka tini pripares.
The tanka painter paints deities of many diverse kinds.
Tini ngaso miso samdang lha ngomati tini se mayan samne tini topayu res.
And some of us may give rise to doubts about whether or not this really is how the deities look like.
Pena ngaso yag nang la tini yag tini rimu nang la yungkeng ka tini lha chona tini lha tiso tini yang yag tini mandrapo tini karpa tini rampo yungkeng tang yang na pena tanga nekab ka tini mandrapo tini tetsu chumbo rao tini priyo res.
In the Chinese tradition, some of these deities are represented differently. They might have long beards, or according to the Tang Dynasty style, they might have fatter faces.
Tani bola na perna tini laklewi kapsa tomar tini bok gomba tambo to sami gombares.
So the first monastery in Tibet that painted tankas was Samye Monastery.
Tini sami nangla tini lha tini jangwi kapsa tini silak pele nyorzina tini bok mu tini zyakshu te sola pele ne tini zubares.
And the model or the basis that they used for rendering the deities of their images were the best looking Tibetans at the time.
Yeah. That Indiana tini jagal hana janda po pogal hana ponda po inna tini lang ngomata kundi tini zina manna samgres.
So if Chinese gods look like Chinese people and Tibetan gods look like Tibetan people, then what do the real gods look like? People might wonder.
Yeah. Rite yina tini pena shirtanga so pena dorji sempanda ta teso korwate tini tung ngupu thola ti rmu nangla yopanda o tini shir rmu ti tin shirtang tini ti yemda o ti tini yores tung ngupu thola.
In actual fact, deities like Vajrasattva exist in reality as they are represented in tankas.
Pena dorji senwa ina tini dorji tini thakar tini zongan kenda o tini ga ta te ma ina yetum susu la yang tinji damanda mambondo shirtanga ti yepti tinji tongo tola tinji yores.
So, for example, Vajrasattva is represented holding a Vajra, and other idams are represented in different ways. And generally speaking, this is how they are.
Tini ti yopati ngaso kanji hago res enas.
So you might ask, well, how do we know that?
Yeah. Yeah. Tini ti ngaso zochin tini gombi kaps zochin torger zea tini gomji yores torger.
Because during in Dzogchen practice, there's a stage of practice called Togo.
Tini torger to tini gombi kaps tini korang sem go nala hati sawani sam go yo marezi ti sam nyeng marezi korang o tini ngepe na haden tini yin sam ngaso sem go nala tini sawani korang sam go yo marezi.
And in this practice, there is no visualization of deities whatsoever. There is no thinking that the deity looks like this or that.
Tini di kaps ngaso tini zochin go kaps tangkala sawani tayo marezi tangkala tanyeng yo marezi tayo marezi.
And in Dzogchen practice, there is no looking at a tanka. Indeed, you're not allowed to look at a tanka.
Tini korang zogba chimbo tini yishit tini gumni tini tawati gum yondi tini dershak nyambo tini ti ton yakbo tok yondi tini dershak nawati shirla shisola korang rangshik nangyong yores.
However, by through Dzogchen practice, by arriving at a realization of Buddhahood, then this Buddhahood manifests itself externally.
Tini ti kosola tini nangwi tini lhate korang rangshik nawazres.
And the deities that manifest at this time manifest naturally, they arise naturally.
Tini ti habzo tini tripata yangmana soso sem go nala zuni on tini lhan tini yin samba tetang dera chikyang yo mares.
And the deities that appear at this stage have no connection to those that are drawn by tanka painters or the way the mind visualizes or imagines different deities to look.
Tini yinna ti kaps kosola tini dershak nyambo tini nangla tawa jachimbo tini tok yung kaps tini dershak nyambo nawati shila tezi nangyores nangyongres.
At this time, due to a really great realization of Buddha nature in the inner mind, there is an external appearance or an external manifestation of that Buddha nature that appears.
Tini partana tini mukum thwanda wo yores muk namkalan thwanda wo yores partana.
And to look at it, it seems as if it's something that one can see with one's eyes.
Ina tong tola mugla nangayo ma impati sim nangla nangayores.
But in actual fact, it's not something that's being manifested or appearing to the eyes. It is appearing to the mind.
Tini shilola mukum thwa maimbi gimsung karezina muktsum jagna kapkas thongayores.
And the reason that we can say that it's not that these deities that manifest don't exist externally is because at this point because the meditator can see them with their eyes closed.
Tini ti kosola tini nawil hati kandis nangayoresina dorji senhwa inare tini tso kang ina tini ngaso tarta chindig ban dendaw nangayores.
Indeed, yang suna jigrba kan.
To ngaso perna dorji senhwa ina tini kosola dorji senhwa nangna korang chogum thongna tini mthongwa te shertangla ngaso tarta dorji senhwa chingdwa thangka tola dorji senhwa tatang drapu yores.
And the deities that emerge to practitioners at this stage appear in a very similar form to the way that many deities are represented in Tanka. For example, Vajrasattva, the form of Vajrasattva.
Tindi indi shertang ngaso tini nangchu te pena jagar la tini jagar ke tini thangka chona jagar ke matang drapu yore dong de jagar ke matang drapu yores.
Usually the Tanka's representations that come from India resemble Indian people.
Tini 보따리 보탄라보다 자자탄라보든지 요리때 인나한테니 실당 그때니 의입디 코랑 동고 돌라든지 인그레스.
And even though Tibetan tankas resemble Tibetan people and Chinese people, Chinese tankas and deities resemble Chinese people, generally speaking, the way that the form that deities are represented in is the way that they are.
되니 겨서 갈때 tanka스잖아요. 되니 뭐 кар보다 리공켄다 어딘지나 쳐그레스.
And so if any of you wish to draw a painter, it's fine for you to render the deities looking like Western people.
옛날 시킵 그때 입대더니 찍바레스.
However, the general form of the deity is the same, is universal.
어딘지 인디 되니 가서 때 강스터 가서 족바 침부 값을 딘dim 통이 gem선데 가서 대식냥 보고 나와 그때니 좀 Sholola yone tinim tongoyore ting mi zupa mare jemon kango zupa mare aso sem kanala chamba mare kaya mare korang ranshik shongwares.
However, during Dzogchen practice, where due to profound realization of Buddha nature, there is an external appearance of the deity. At this time, the deity is not. It's not drawn by hand. It's not fabricated. It's a natural appearance.
어딘지 인디 땅아서 어딘지 되니 하딘지 되니 곰고 그랬더니 곰스르듯든지 레스 당보 되니 가서 탕갈락다고 레스.
So it's this form of the deity that we need to meditate on, and in terms of the method of meditating, we begin with a tanka.
어딘지 디 값스 되니 가서 깨름 그 값스 되니 돈상 제고야 가시지요 레스.
And during the process of generation stage practice, there are a few points to keep in mind.
Tini chikti kangrjina tini ngaso tini thankata tini gombi kapsu tini saru tini gom thapgo gore kanji saru yuna tini yakres pena thanka pena mi muk nani muk karbo ta nakbo ta tesu yanchu sama saru tini gom thapna pe hale payak poyores.
So when we meditate, the greater clarity with which we are able to visualize the deity, the better. So if we are able to visualize it with the same clarity with which it is represented in the tanka, down to the details of the black of the pupil and the whiteness of the deity's eyes, then this is very good. And so this is the first principle, the principle of clarity. And the second principle is purity. So there are three key principles here: clarity, purity, and stability.
pena jewa tang cho tang tini la mambo gangri gomna ngaso yetum kal ha mambo gomna tini lati demba in samne ngaso lati tini mung ngoman rawo tini go demba tini sholola yo samna tini go mares.
And so with the demba raba
demba dindrip.
Yeah. So the third of these principles, stability, or this relates to the deity. So the many deities that we meditate on, some peaceful, some wrathful, to think that or to believe that these deities truly exist out there externally is not okay. Like a rainbow. Yeah. So we need to understand them in their purity like a rainbow. And when we look at a rainbow and its different beautiful colors, then it appears very, very nice. But in actual fact, what this all the rainbow is an illusion created by the light striking many different droplets of water. In actual fact, it's intangible. We can't reach out and touch it.
되니 가서 하 예담 걸하 강당 강 곰나 되니 더 던지고 되니 가서 다 대식냐고 나와 실로라 나와 던지 마토바 실로라 무스 던지고 무포 던지 던지 오마레 삼네 하디 똥바임 바하고 고레스 똥이 됨바.
So it's important that we understand that the deity is no more than an external appearance of our Buddha nature, that it is not truly existent. It's important that we understand the emptiness of the deity.
되니 때 니바데레 따가서 그랬을 때
So that's the second of these qualities. So purity, clarity, now purity.
되니 선바데 되니 딴제 되니 땀부스 그래 땀부데 강래라서 그러지나 땅아서 띠공라 되니 나랑 랑그 ngote 페나가서 도지생화 곰나 땅아랑 그 되니 ngote 도지생화 랑인 삼반다고 나랑 랑그 셈기 ngote 도지생화 인세 도지생파 제나양 땅아랑 그 셈고 ngo 대식냥 버리 디 나와리 마토바 잠바청 요마레 띠인디 되니 찌그레 삼네 나랑 그 셈기 ngote 대신디 도지 생활연 삼바딘디 그 땀부 띠땀 띠따와 띠땀부 요고 그래.
So the third quality of generation stage practice, stability. So with stability, we mean here the view in Vajrayana that the essence of our mind is that of the deity. So here we need stability in that view. So if we are meditating on Vajrasattva, then we need to have a stable belief, a stable view that our essence is inseparable from that of Vajrasattva. So what is required here is stability in that view.
아니 다 던지 곰나 파윤 까지요제 돈다 짐진다고 까지요제나 되니 가서 되니 던지 곰니 게름데 곰 랑티니 하임버 곰나 되니 랑티니 코르와나라 케바망보 되니 케발레야 되니 박착데 되니 마잔조 그래서 박착데 잔니.
And so you might wonder what the benefit of meditating in this way is, or what the result of meditating in this way is. Well, by meditating on the deity as oneself, then this has the capacity to dispel the karmic imprints of previous lifetimes.
되니 가서 너 파신타 바였나 되니 똥바니다 냐지다 되니 닥메다 뜻소이는람보 곰니 되니 가서 코로나라 되니 깨가 와착데 메바지고요 그래서 이런보 곰고 그래서
In the Mahayana teachings, at the level of the vehicle of the perfections, we need to meditate for a long time on emptiness and compassion and no self. And it's only after meditating on these for a long time that we're able to dispel the imprints, the karmic imprints of past lives.
되니 상학이나 되니 랑 되니 도지 생활하고 곰니 되니 탑시 딘디즈라 되니 티 파착다 메바시고요 그래서
In the Vajrayana tradition, takes the method of meditating on oneself as Vajrasattva, as the method for dispelling these past karmic imprints.
되니 타르트가 뭐르 니가 찍바레지 니가 되니 가서 코르와나라 몬트닝한 만주와 뒷돈을
But in terms of their ultimate goal or ultimate purpose, both approaches are the same. That is to allow us to escape from the constant cycle of rebirth.
되니 코르위나라 만주와 제한테 나 가상칸이 쉐요제 가서 셔당 코르와나라 룰고 그래서 레테 이나 레당 뇽문 바가 왕건 코르위나라 만주제 그래서 레당 뇽문비 왕니 아좀 코르위나라 론나 내가서 셈진나라 판톡탑고 말해서
So yesterday, as we mentioned when we talk about leaving samsara, well, actually we need to stay in samsara, but what we mean here by leaving samsara is not residing in samsara by the force or through the force of through the force of karma and afflictions, because in this state we won't be able to be of real benefit to other beings.
Teni anipa de kangresina ngacho te susorang dorji senwa teni gomna teni dorji senwa te lag yunden susorang deshak nyampo di ta par chexer rogorezi tela teni zog zegre ta yongsu zogba tartan rapo inna yo re ta inna ta sarun thonga ma teni gomna teni chexer rone teni yongsu zogba teni nang gore te phanto yore.
And there is the other benefit of meditating on oneself as the deity, say as Vajrasattva, that the qualities of the deity can be refined in one's own mind. So even though one does to begin with in originality already possess these qualities, by meditating on oneself as the deity, these qualities can be refined and perfected.
Tani ti jisu tini nga tso ta kirim de mangpo gomna tini zorum gomtawe ala pantuk yores.
And then the benefit of doing a lot of generation stage practice is that it prepares us for or matures us for completion stage practice.
Tani tela menze gare, tani ta zo menze ki tetso somboti nga tso kirim go tini mjewerzi, kirim go shilin ra ores, kirim gombi shilin.
And so we refer to this as ripening or maturing. So these three principles are purifying, perfecting, and ripening. And we talk about these as the result or the function of generation stage practice.
Tani nga tso kirim tini tabdipo goni nyamlim shisar yores.
And there's a very simple method of doing generation stage practice.
Tani nga tson samda tinding dupi kapsu, tinding samdu ya cheta ranga tani lagum ya ngangdong ya tinding tabdi tini sojong chi yore, ti nyamlim chi yores.
And this is a really simplified approach to studying and practicing deity yoga in a retreat context.
Ta terang nga tso sha chiti tini shirtang ka tini sangak ka shikok ra bores, dongjin ra bores.
So what I have taught on this morning is like a structure or an overall framework of Vajrayana practice.
Tini yon nyamlin chesar ta tini jipcha ta tiso yang tarong tiso go re, rimji tini lobjong che ne tini go undus.
But in terms of the actual details of practice, this is something that everyone needs to continue to study step by step.
Tini tangbo nga tso dongji to lob go res.
So the first thing that we need to do is learn about the structure or the overall framework.
Tini ti jini tini lalen de tini lobne tini nyamlin zu chena tini nga tso tsinti tola te sosolan mjewe yapo top kare.
And then we need to actually implement this structure in practice. And if we do this, then within this life we will see good results.
Ta tanang nga tso tini tisut ti tola tonsong tini chuchiti ti insamne tini jakayon nga tso kirim ti shat sarsongs.
So we've reached the end of our teaching this morning, so we're going to leave it there, but we have finished our teaching on the generation stage practice. And we'll end now with the dedication.
Page 5 of the handouts, the short dedication and aspiration.
Tancho zubanya done ni be jana banje jiga na je wa no de bai zben do le do wa do jo yanda na ma dam dra me ju je wa la no jo de Sadalanji yondarazode Lujin janga gomba mirdojo. Lasso teni tujiche.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.